Let's talk football.
Thank God.
Thank God, right? I'm done with all this other shit. So, the 2022 Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, there's a lot of questions, just like yesterday's topic of conversation and the team we previewed yesterday. A lot of question marks around the Browns because we just don't know who the quarterback's going to be. We don't know what situation is what. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a situation now where their Hall of Fame, and he will walk into Canton, Hall of Fame quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, hangs up the cleats for good, and now you're left with a gaping hole, and I don't know why I said gaping hole, but you're left with a big spot at quarterback, right? So what do they do to address it going into the season? They go off and sign Mitch Trubisky. They signed Josh Dobbs. They also drafted Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, the hometown boy. According to, if he goes to Pittsburgh and gets drafted by Pittsburgh, you consider a hometown boy.
Yep.
Rob, do you think that's enough to fill the gap? Like, obviously, going into the season, it's going to be Mitch. Is that enough for the Steelers right now as a quarterback? Now, Mitch Trubisky took the Bears to the playoffs with Matt Nagy as their coach. Clearly, the guy can win some games. He went to back up Josh Allen in Buffalo. Saw it like no time because Josh is a fucking Terminator.
Josh, yeah.
And so now he's a free agent. Here's your second chance of life. Here you go. Here are the keys for now. Mitch Trubisky, the show is yours. Do you think he gets it done? Or at least provides anything?
I think he gets it done. And I think the Steelers are going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Kenny Pickett, I guess. Mitch Trubisky just was in a bad situation, I think. Like you say, they didn't get to play much in Buffalo, and Chicago was a mess. This team isn't going to, everyone said this is a drop-off at quarterback. Big Ben has been Big Ben for about 3-4 years now, right?
Last year and the year before that, I was wondering if the man can throw more than 12 yards down the field. There was a very dink and dunk rest of the way, and while I still thought that Ben could be a game manager and win games, and he did, because the Steelers last year finished 9-7-1. They made the goddamn playoffs, which I wrote them off when they had, I believe, when they got their 7th loss. I'm like, oh, this team ain't making the playoffs. There's no way. And then they did their thing, right? And they get in and they're out and whatever. The rest is history. But to win 9 games under Big Ben and his arm, it's pretty impressive.
Juju played 5 games. And while he played, he only averaged 4.6 yards like a catch. Like
Juju is one of the losses, a key loss for the Steelers. Juju's gone. James Washington leaves for Dallas. Ray McLeod, another receiver, but more of a return specialist. He hightails it out of there for San Francisco. Their receiving room got shooken up a little bit.
Got younger.
They did get younger. Deontay Johnson on the come up. Last year, everybody knows he's that good. Chase Claypool, another year, probably going to get better. Go to the draft. George Pickens, right? Bro, my man, he's a bully.
Yes,
Pickens
he is
a bully, and that's the kind of mentality I think he fits perfect with Mike Tomlin, just being a bully boy. I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's one of the most, a lot of people say he's overrated because he's been there forever and really hasn't done much after the Super Bowl. But after that, he's been there forever. Dude.
He's been there 15 years, but I think
he's the 4th longest tenured coach right now, or 3rd?
He's never had a losing season.
Never. Not one.
Won more than 10 games, I think, over 11 times. That's pretty
saying
good.
something, man. That's saying
and
something.
That division,
dude.
They play the Ravens.
Right.
The Bengals,
exactly.
It's not that the Bengals have always been good, but the Bengals don't always garbage either.
Within their division, it's always, they're knocking heads, always, right?
Yeah,
so the
man.
Steelers, to me, with losing all 3 of those receivers and then drafting George Pickens, you got younger. I do think they have a phenomenal up-and-coming tight end in Freiermuth.
Oh, man, I love that kid.
Loved him. Picked him up last year
He's
in fantasy.
He's a Steeler.
Yes.
He's like, when you think of a Steeler, you're like, all right. That's
he fits the mold. And now we're not even talking about Najee Harris. Like, the guy could be the first overall pick in some of your fantasy drafts. I said it
had
yesterday.
him last year.
Dude,
oh, man,
this guy is a workhorse. And shout out to Lev Bell, by the way, before I even go, former Steeler running back and former Jet, Chief, wherever the hell he wound up at the very end. Not former rapper. Now he wants to focus on boxing. For God's sakes, just fine, go do it. Just shut up about it.
Oh, man.
But I will say Najee Harris could, within a couple years, make people say, like, Lev who? We had Lev Bell. We had Antonio Brown. We had all these guys. We had them all on the same team. And they couldn't get it done. Sticking with the gains, James Daniels, guard. Chikawa Okafor, tackle. Mason Cole, center. Shout out to the Pittsburgh front office that the year after Big Ben retires are like, we should probably address the offensive line. We should probably help out Mitch so he's not getting bitch slapped every single Sunday. And I'm not saying these guys are all world players, but they're at least addressing it. Some teams just don't address it. Giants.
And look at the Bengals. Look at the Bengals last year. That's what killed them in the Super Bowl.
I mean, but they addressed it.
Yeah, well,
they went out and got Lyle Collins for a bag of balls, right? So because I can't get over that either. But
one of the big things they did though, they brought on Flores as their defense coordinator.
Look, man, like say what you will about Flores as a head coach and whatever the hell happened with him in Miami, like we can't even touch that with a 10-foot pole at this point. Especially in this episode, we're already on LeBron. But I will say that Flores as a D coordinator, that's nice. That's a nice situation to be in, especially with a younger defense, good cornerbacks, good linebackers. Let's not talk about one of the best safeties in football,
Minka.
Yeah, bro. Like this
He's
team,
from right around here.
I know this team is good.
Yeah.
This team is young, so you got to we're weary about that. But I think this team is primed to do a couple good things here and there. Now, when you look at their schedule, that is not as fun. Their schedule is quite tough. They start with the defending AFC champion. And they go to Cincinnati on the day that Cincinnati will probably raise their AFC championship banner and all this other shit, all these other festivities. Joey Burrow, everybody on Cincinnati. We'll talk about them tomorrow. But is there going to be a Super Bowl hangover? If the Steelers want to shock people and show you that they're for real right away, they win that game in Cincinnati. Do I think it'll happen? I don't think so, right? But that's just one game, and I'm not worried about just one game. But the schedule doesn't get favorable. I mean, they do get the Patriots, in which I think they'll get their first win. Because I think the Patriots, I'm telling you, it's weird. We'll talk about the Patriots when we get to them. But I feel like this is the end of the road for Bill Belichick and the success. But again, the Bengals, the Patriots, then they go to Cleveland. So 2 of the first 3 games are division rivals, and they're on the road.
That's going to be interesting.
You're going to get yourself a test right away. Like, will Mitch Trubisky be the guy? I ask you, Rob, how short is Mitch Trubisky's leash on this team? Is Kenny Pickett ready to rock and roll right now, like if called upon? Do you think?
So I think his leash is you got the 2 AFC North teams pretty much right away within the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I think you give them to week 5, man. And see what they're doing. If they're 1-4 by week 5, why not?
Well, yeah, it would be 1-3 by week 5. Look, if they get the wins that I think they might get, which is again the Patriots, I broke it down like this. The Steelers have the capability with a team right now to probably split their division games. Win the home games, probably lose on the road. I don't see any teams in this division that you can sweep. They're not going to sweep the Ravens. They're not going to sweep the Browns. Depends, I guess, the Browns, because we don't know yet.
Who starts, yeah.
But yeah, right. So, like, they're not going to – right now, I don't think they sweep the Browns if it's Watson. Even if it's Brissett, I don't know. Going into Cleveland, I just feel like it's a weird thing. And then Baltimore, you're not going to sweep them either. I said that already. No. Who else am I thinking of?
Bengals.
The Bengals.
Yep.
You're not going to sweep the Bengals.
No.
So if you go 3-3 in your division, great. There's 3 wins. Now, to make the playoffs in the AFC this year, boy, you got to find yourself 10 or 11, I think. And I find it hard because right now the over-under on the Steelers is not high. Okay? It's 7.5 wins right now, according to, I believe, Caesars, which I looked up this morning. So if they're thinking that it's going to be Mitch to start and then eventually Kenny Pickett comes in, they're still not giving them the benefit of the doubt that either of those quarterbacks can lead this team to the promised land. And we all know that the Steelers aren't a Super Bowl team right now. We know that right now. But, like, could they get to where they were last year? How many games worse are they this year without Ben Roethlisberger? Like, that's a conversation to be had.
Yes.
Now, in the first 4 weeks, I'll say 2 division games. The home games are the Patriots and the Jets. And like I said, I've been saying it forever. Wait until this Jets episode. Might as well come in with my face painted green because I really am on the Jets hype train, along with the official motherfucker known as Zach Wilson. But anyway, so I believe in the Jets. I don't know how easy that game will be, especially, I mean, it'll be home, so maybe that's why they get the nod. They'll probably be favored maybe by 2. Then they got to go to Buffalo. So it's like, forget that. Then you got Tom Brady coming into town against either Mitch or Kenny saying like, "Hi, I'm Tom Brady. I'm your dad."
Welcome.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm about to smoke you. So I don't think that's a thing. Then they go to Miami, in which I think Miami might be on the come up this year.
To Miami?
To Miami.
Remember Flores is defensive coordinator now. That game might get a little chippy.
Oh, it's like the NFL writes scripts or something.
Chippy.
Weird. Then they stay on the road at Philly. Winnable. I don't like Philly, but they're going to be better than they were last year. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm allowed to say that.
Basically, a home game for the Steelers, though.
Yeah, they're not traveling anywhere. They're driving up the street or down the turnpike or wherever. Finally, they get their bye in week 9.
Middle of the season.
It is the middle of right in the middle of the pack. Out of 18 weeks, you get it right smack in the middle. So let's see what you do going forward. Now they off the bye, they get back home. They play the Saints. It's a winnable game when it's at home, right?
We don't know Mike Thomas. We don't know.
We don't know about anything with the Saints. We don't know how much Jameis is going to hold up. Is he going to have this year that everybody thinks he might have? I don't know. According to Gooch and his Instagram page, he's a stud, and he's probably been playing football his whole life.
We don't know if Alvin Kamara is going to be able to play. Alvin Kamara.
Oh yeah, well, if Kamara gets suspended, it'll probably be for the first 6, so he'll probably be there.
Yeah.
But anyway, then they go home to play. They stay home for 2 games after the bye. So imagine that. You have a week off, and then you stay home for 2 weeks. So essentially, you're home for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So that's big for them. And they play the Bengals that week. So that could be the revenge game from the first loss of the season. Then they're at Indy.
That's Monday Night Football.
Indy's Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
That's great. That's Matt Ryan versus Mitch. What better ratings? Atlanta, definitely a team that we don't know anything about right now as far as like, could they do something with Mariota? I don't know. Then they drafted the kid out of Cincinnati, so he might be the future quarterback over there. We'll see. Then at Carolina, interesting game because, again, Baker Mayfield. Is it going to be Baker, Sam? Do they bring Cam Newton back again, or is it Sam Howell? Sam Howell? No. Matt Corral. See, I got them both. Mixed up my white boys.
After
my white boy rookies.
After Atlanta, I see Baltimore on the schedule. This
I know. I said that. Oh, I skipped right over
yeah.
Baltimore, so that's a loss. But no, that's actually a home game, so we don't know.
Yes.
At Carolina, we don't know. Vegas, who has to come from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. I'm curious to know. You have the times there in front of you?
It's Saturday 8:15. It's Christmas Eve.
So that's advantage Vegas. So at Baltimore to close out the season. Well, actually, no, they get back to play the Browns in Week 18. So I asked the question: if they're splitting the division games, do you find the over/under set in a 7.5? So that's kind of lowish.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they get to 7.5. I got them winning 6-7 games right now.
Really?
Yeah, because again, the winnable games I got Atlanta, Carolina, the Patriots, maybe the Raiders because it's a late game now and it's Christmas Eve, national stage. Let's get it done. Go Steelers, right? There's 4 plus the split of the division. That gives you 7. So that still would be the under. Because there's games on the schedule. I don't think they're not going to beat Indy. In Indy. I don't think that happens.
You don't believe in the Steelers defense at all?
I do believe in the Steelers defense. I understand that, but believe it or not, we said it yesterday. This is an offensive-driven league. You got to score some points, bro.
Yeah.
You got to score some points. And if we have Mitch and or Kenny Pickett, I don't know.
You don't even know what you have with Mitch yet, though. Really, right? You
know what you have in Mitch as far as like his abilities. Like he's strapped in certain ways. Believe it or not, the guy can run. So like we will see him on the scamper every so often. But like overall, I don't know, man. With this division being as tough as it is, and the AFC being the juggernaut that it is, even if you want to squeak the over and get 8 wins, you go 8-9, it would be Tomlin's first losing season. Is that the bigger question? Will this be Tomlin's first losing season?
That's the question.
Interesting. But anyway, so the Steelers, I find it hard pressed for them to win more than 7 games, maybe 8 if they pull off some miracles. But I think the 2022 Steelers will be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. That's what I think. Do I think they can pull it all together, pull some rabbit out of the hat, and go 9-8? Sure. Remember, last year they kissed their sister. You know what that means?
Yeah, they tied. Yeah.
That's like the worst thing in the world. Yeah. I'd almost rather lose.
And then they lose in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man.